In this video, we're going to take a look at the features included in the latest Power Query update. There are 6 new features included in this update. The first one is the ability to connect to data sources that are configured via an ODBC driver. Let's take a look at this feature. This is one that has been commonly requested for a long time, and we finally are providing it to you. It will give you the ability to connect to data sources that you do not have access to via a first-class connector in Power Query. The entry point is located under the From Other Sources menu in the Power Query ribbon. And what you'll need to do is specify the connection string. In this case, I'm going to connect to SQL Server just as an example, but this could be any other data source configured through an ODBC driver. And I need to also specify the SQL statement. For instance, let's go ahead and retrieve the customers table. We'll click Next. And this will land the customers table from this database through the ODBC driver that I have in my machine. Now let's take a look at the second group of features. The second one you might have noticed as I was walking through the ODBC entry point. You may have realized how we've added a new entry point for From Azure data sources in the Power Query ribbon. This does not add any new data source, but if you have followed previous videos or used the previous updates, you may have realized how the other sources menu was too long and it didn't fit in most of screens. Now we've just split a few sources into this new category from Azure so that it's easier to navigate through all of the other menus as well. The third one, it's about reconfiguration of the workbook settings options. Usually they would have been in previous updates. You would see local and fast combine show up as top level entries in this Power Query ribbon tab. Now we've introduced a new workbook settings dialog which exposes local and fast combine. It also improves the description for fast combine. What does it mean to enable it or to turn it off? But it also adds another option, which is another feature included in this December update, and this is the ability to disable or enable the relationship detection between tables when you load multiple tables into the data model through Power Query. Now, for those of you who have used this in the past, you may have realized that in some cases you don't really want to spend the time of letting Power Query detect relationships automatically, but you'd much rather disable this detection and automatically create the relationships or manually create the relationships directly in the data model window in Power Pivot. So this option is here for you now, and the scope of this option is going to be for the current document, just as the local and fast combine options are as well. Great. Let's take a look at the fifth new feature. In this case, it's just a minor usability improvement about providing you column counts and row counts based on the query editor data preview. If I go back to the query editor, you'll see how below the preview we have in the status bar, we're providing you a count of the number of columns and rows. Keep in mind that this is a data preview inside the editor, so that the number of rows that we show is just what it's currently displayed in the preview area. In fact, if I scroll down, you'll see this number change as I hit the next window of preview rows, which gets me all the way to 91 rows, which in this case it's the number of rows that I have in my customers table. But just beware that this isn't the total row count, is just the preview row count. In the case of columns though, since they are pretty stable and they don't vary between rows, it'll be accurate, so you could also use this as a way to double check that you're getting all of the columns that you'd want, especially when dealing with very wide tables with lots of columns. It's much better than scrolling left and right. Finally, the last new feature or usability improvements included in this update is the ability to decide whether you want to get rid of a query when you delete a worksheet or you want to keep the query around. So let's take this example. I have my query 1 which is loaded to the sheet number 2, and I'm going to go ahead and delete sheet 2. Now I get a warning from Excel telling me that I cannot undo deleting worksheets and that I might be removing some data that I would like to keep. In this case, I'll proceed and say delete. What we added in this update is this second prompt coming from Power Query that is telling me or asking me whether I want to actually delete the query from the workbook or if I just want to change the load settings so that I can keep the query around but it's just not loading to the worksheet. The default behavior up until now has been delete, and you may have accidentally lost some queries. So we heard that feedback and we're adding this extra option for you. Now if I click disable load and I open the workbook queries pane, you'll notice how query 1 is still here, but it has changed the load settings to, in this case, be disabled. Notice that if I had been loading my query to both worksheet and data model, we would just uncheck or disable the load to worksheet, but we would keep loading that query into the data model. Great, that's all for this update. We hope that you enjoy, and please keep sending us feedback and stay tuned for future updates. Thank you very much.